3 days ago, I spent $100,000 to hang out with 9 other business leaders and Alex Hormozi. And in this video, I want to tell you what he told me about my business, the effect that it had, which is the most surprising part, and then ultimately, was it worth it? Which is what I'm sure you want to know, and it's certainly what I wanted to know going in. So the first thing, what did he tell me? Let me give you some context on my business, and then I'll get into what Alex said. So I have basically like a adult daycare or adult day program for folks living in nursing homes. Not exactly, but let's just think of it that way. So we go in, ask them if they want to come hang out today, they get on the bus, and then we go hang out with them. Alex's first question was, hey, do you have a script or a plan so that every person that walks into that nursing home knows what to say and how to say it? And I said, And so if you're familiar with his do more, then do better, then do new, that's exactly what he suggested, which I already had as my plan, get folks that are coming 1 or 2 times a week to come 3 or 4 times a week. I had a list of all the things I was gonna do, and this was at the top of it. So him saying, get the customers that currently come to come more frequently, yeah, lowest hanging fruit. The second thing he said to do would be to get folks that aren't coming yet to start coming. Although this would be more difficult because, again, there's a sign-in process, there's a momentum that needs to be built. This is the easiest. So more, better, new, no surprise, it's what I was doing anyway. But what was surprising is the effect that it had on me. So we got here in 5-10 minutes. And then he spent the next 10 or 15 minutes really drilling into me saying every single step of that person's customer journey, from literally knocking on the door of their room, from their bed to the bus, needs to be mapped out in micro steps, because it might take, in the same way that he's talked about, it took him 6 months to stand up cold outbound because they had to figure out how to get the right numbers, and then no one would pick up, so then they got them to pick up, and then they hung up right away, and then they got them on the phone for a little bit. During that entire time, no one actually made a sale, but he was making progress along the way. So in the same way, he's like, there's gonna be a lot of steps between them not even opening the door and them getting on the bus. You need to break down those kind of motivations for each of those actions into micro steps, and they need to be crystal clear and spelled out, and that needs to be hammered into your team, and you guys need to practice over and over. So what that did, so his specifics around how to do that, not that important, but the level of clarity and conviction that he used is what really changed the game for me. So first, the clarity that, hey man, because I came in with literally 6 different things I was trying to do in order to grow my business. The clarity of saying, sorry about the glare, I should call it the clarity. This is the thing that matters most. Don't do ads, don't do cold outbound. There's a lot of other things I could be doing. This is the lowest hanging fruit. Nail this. Put all your eggs in this basket. And just the amount of clarity in his guts about this is what you need to be doing, and you're allowed to not do everything else, I think really helped for me. Well, we'll see how much it helped right here. And the second is conviction, that it is possible, because we've tried this before, and I kind of was like, yeah, we've done this to some degree, but the fact that I could not tell him with absolute conviction, this is what we've tried, this is what's worked, this is what's not worked, these are the 27 iterations we've done, we've not left it all on the field here. And so these 2 things are what I really paid 100 grand for. The last thing is, was it worth it? And in here, I'm gonna show the 2 concepts that I use to calculate if it was worth it, and then answer your question. And those concepts are expected value and marginal utility. One of them is a gambling term, at least that's where I heard of it, and the other one is an economics term. Shout out Dr. Hoyt. So the first is expected value. And expected value, I define as what are the consequences of an action multiplied by its likelihood. So one of the things I did before I came, because I was again looking at getting more people to show up that were already going, which was Alex's exact recommendation, was if I got the folks that are coming 1 or 2 times a week to come 3 times a week, and that's it, what would that do to my business? And the answer is I'd make an extra 40 grand. So my estimation is that I had a 25% chance of pulling this off before going to Alex. Again, it was a thing on my list that was at the top. So $40,000 times a 25% likelihood of this outcome, so outcome times likelihood, is an expected value worth of 10 grand. After Alex, I now have, I think, a 75% chance of hitting this $40,000. So 75% times 40,000 is 30 grand in expected value. Now, marginal utility is the next concept in red, as you can see, because I'm so freaking clever. So marginal means additional, and utility is a fancy economics term that's like good happiness. So like if I were to eat, if I was starving and I was to eat 1 apple, I would get a certain amount of utility from that apple. So let's say that I ate 100 more apples. The additional utility of eating the 101st apple, the marginal, meaning additional, utility, meaning like happiness of that apple consumption, would be very, very small. It honestly might be negative at that point. So I went from 10 to 30 in my expected value, thanks to the Alex Hormozi experience. So that is a marginal utility of $20,000. I'll make 20 grand more per month. So is this worth it? Well, honestly, this is probably what's gonna happen for most of you. He's gonna tell you some shit that he's been saying on the podcast since like the second day, or wrote in the book multiple times. Again, this was on my list. This is probably what's gonna happen for you and happen for lots of the business owners. They got some advice, and then in like 10 or 15 minutes, and then they spent another 20 or 30 minutes being convinced or having their beliefs broken about the possibility of that advice. That's basically what happened to me. So this is what I think the value will be on a monthly basis. So between now, which it's the beginning of August, and the end of the year, I got 5 months. That'll get me to 100 grand. So that's what Alex Hormozi told me. That is how it affected me. And this is my calculation for how it will eventually be worth it. Oh, and by the way, this $100,000, just hanging out with Alex for a day thing is not something, if you're going to the $5,000 scaling workshop, that's not what this was. There is an upsell there that's like, used to be 35. I've heard it's like now 90, where you get to spend a day, but it's with like his lieutenants, like the folks that are a step or 2 below him, super sharp folks, probably will tell you the same thing, but you may not believe it as much. And then there's another experience called L3, and that's, he doesn't offer it to everybody, but he offered it to me. And so that's how you get the opportunity to spend 100 grand. I called it, as I was there, I'm like waiting for the upsells, and I was like, give me your super duper upsell. This is basically the upsell. Actually, I have a small portfolio of companies myself, and so the super duper duper upsell, if you have, I guess, multiple companies, would be, they called me and said, hey, for $1 million, do you want him to like just rent the whole day out, and it's you and just your companies, which would be cool, but just not that. I don't have an extra $40,000 to make, or actually it would have to be $240,000 to make across all of my companies to make that worth it. That's a little context in terms of like what this even was. So if you're thinking about going, hopefully that helps.